First of all, this is a very powerful film, and you should be very proud of your work in it once again.
Thanks.
Yeah. I came away from it with a very different impression than what I went in with. This is not just a film about an angry skinhead. It's very much a story of redemption, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think I would have been, frankly, very interested in just a character study of someone who didn't change, because I think that the film is provocative or challenging in the sense that it asks you to, sort of bear witness to some very, very intense moments of physical and verbal brutality. Nothing that I think has been made up here, nothing that doesn't occur frequently, but still I don't think fundamentally it's worth asking people to sit through that just for the sake of it. It's, I think the reason it was worth it to me is that I felt that the film arrived at a very definite conclusion or message that there is an enormous and tragic human cost to making these kinds of decisions, to letting rage engulf your life that way or direct your life, and because the character comes to understand that himself and covers that emotional distance, comes to understand it, I think it's challenging because it humanizes someone who is so initially so ugly, and I think and therefore the tragedy of kind of what happens to his family has an impact because he's fallen so far from the kind of potential he clearly possessed, and I think the reason that was worthwhile to me was I think that these kinds of incidents, these things are a very real part of our lives right now. They're all over the news in particular right now, and yet it's too easy to kind of push it away and say, well, that's just evil, because these are, in many cases, these are young American kids like committing these acts, and there is some kind of a complex and tragic human and emotional dynamic behind all this that produces this kind of behavior, and I think it was worth trying. I felt like it was worth trying to penetrate that or get around that, the humanity of it on all sides. So. Yeah.
When you become evil, this incredible grimace comes over your face. It's both frightening and it's mesmerizing. Where do you go inside yourself to bring out that evil?
Well, I to be honest, when you're doing it, I mean, you can't really use words like evil because it's too external. If you're using words like that, then you're judging the character, and you've got to, as an actor, you got to get inside of it and play it from the inside. And what he is to himself is not evil. He's angry, and he feels justifiably angry, and I think that a lot of people want to think, or sometimes will say that to play these kinds of roles, an actor has to find it in themselves, and I've never completely bought that. I don't think that you have to relate personally to get there. Part of being an actor is about observing these qualities or dynamics in other people and then turning around and representing them. It's somewhat of an imaginative act, you know what I mean? And for me, in this case, it's very challenging because it's it's a heightened energy level to sustain, but I think you just, I don't know exactly where you find it, but it's about entering into the sort of the zone of a character and staying there for a little while.
You were very involved in this film. When you look back at it as an actor, is it the making of the film that you take away or the finished product?
That's an interesting question. It's very often for me it's the making of it. It's maybe a combination of both, but I think you never know what the finished product is going to be. You can't go into a film with your eye only on an assumption that the finished product is going to be great or something like that. You have to go into it knowing that there's something about the exploration of it that's going to be valuable to you, because you can never be sure. It might fly, it might not fly, and for me, I like it if the experience was worthwhile, whatever the result. And in this case, the challenge of, for instance, even physically transforming into this kind of a character, that was worthwhile. It was challenging for me creatively, and I happen to be really, really happy with the way this came out, proud of it. I think it realized a lot of our ambitions in terms of making a nuanced, kind of complex, and therefore provocative story. But the process was also very, very invigorating and valuable.